M. Night Shyamalan. Yes. So we just talked about Knock at the Cabin not too long ago. We both enjoyed that film quite a bit. Thought that was really interesting and fun. Again, definitely a little bit unique for him. Um, we're pretty much talking his new film here, which is set to be Trap, which is already set to come out August 2nd of 2024. Again, kind of leading into this, I was saying it to you before we recorded here that he seems to be pretty consistent with having like one film a year. We had Old last year. Now we have this, and then of course we're gonna have Trap again next year. So lots of fun. Great to see him back on the ball. But I think the thing that really interests me about this is that M. Night has signed a multi-year first look directing and producing deal with Warner Brothers. So he's kind of been taken into the house of Warner Brothers, with their whole shakeup and everything going on with them. It's kind of, I think, an interesting play that they snapped up M. Night, because most of the time, and I mean, First Look basically says that they get first dibs, so they could always pass on it and somebody else could produce it. But, 90% of the time, if they got a First Look deal, they're going to make the movie. So they must really like what they've been seeing from him. And I mean, obviously, he's an established name. His movies are still making money. So, I think the years of M. Night being considered box office poison are kind of behind him.
Yeah, I still think for better or worse, you hear M. Night Shyamalan. I think blatant curiosity is probably the best term to kind of put next to his name of what is this film gonna look like? And I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a big play for Old, whether you liked it or did not. I think that was kind of like, what is this film going into it? And even Knock at the Cabin, I think, still had that kind of curiosity of what is this going to look like. And again, we reviewed it and waiting for a twist, or what was that twist going to be? So I think M. Night is one of those few directors that are out there that has an expectation next to his name. Again, for better or worse, but you're expecting something going into those films, no matter what, before you even hear the synopsis of what it's going to be. So, I think Warner Brothers knows that, and they know he's one of those few directors that still, can just sell a movie by his name alone. So it doesn't surprise me that they picked him up, because it's like having him in your camp and being able to, having the luxury of seeing the movie, or being able to say, I want to do this film, or we're going to pass on it. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. You get first dibs on it, or you don't even have to deal with it. So, and that's probably how a lot of M. Night Shyamalan stuff goes, where it's like, this is great, and not today, M. Night. So, I'm intrigued to see what he's going to come up with next. I mean, Trap. I don't think there's really anything out there on this film other
Not
than the
much.
name.
No, this was just reported on a couple hours ago. So
But we were both pretty pleased with Knock at the Cabin. So
yeah,
I hope he stays on that path and continues that trajectory, at least for the next few films that he does. Because I mean, let's cast Dave Bautista again. Let's do it.
I think that they could have a good working relationship. A lot of people really leaned on to his performance from Knock at the Cabin, saying that it's one of the strongest performances he's ever given. I would say so. I think an easy follow up to that is his performance in Blade Runner 2049, although brief. Very impactful and effective. And yeah, I definitely like this. It sounds good. It's definitely a nice little upgrade for M. Night. He'll get bigger budgets and things. Working with Warner Brothers just kind of, naturally. But I want him to kind of stay um, really in his wheelhouse. He's been doing really well with these lower budget thrillers and kind of just, adapting material. Really, I think kind of stepping away from trying to make this an M. Night Shyamalan film and
Yeah.
make this just a good film. And I think that's kind of what the issue was. Looking at some of his work from the mid 2000s, I think everything after The Village, for a while there was pretty shaky. So it's one of those things where it's like now that he can kind of just get back to that, I hope he stays there. I don't want him to kind of get that. And not to say that he had a big head, but I don't want him to get too caught up in the, I need to be known as the twist guy. I need to be, making these big, like crazy films. I mean, Knock at the Cabin is a very simple story.
Yeah.
And, he really mastered it with beautiful cinematography, beautiful camera work, and just bang on performances. And that's really like why I think this movie is one of his best in years. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm just like, stay with it, stay the course, because you're really getting there. Again, Old didn't work for me so much, but I liked Old a lot more than I could say I liked The Happening or Lady in the Water or After Earth or Avatar. There's so many other movies that I would put under Old. It's definitely just needs to kind of stay the course. I mean, he can do different genres if he wants to. Like, I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm just saying don't fall into those old expectations.
Yeah. I also think he's got to stick to the basics there. I mean, you talk about Dave Bautista's performance in Knock at the Cabin, James McAvoy in Splits, in Glass.
Yeah.
I mean, like bringing out these performances. I think Glass gets a little muddled in terms of the storytelling, maybe even Split to an extent, where, I think he could try to go a little overboard, but it's like he still had these great performances from a lot of these actors. And I think M. Night can really bring out those performances as we've seen in his films. It just kind of gets muddled in being the twist guy. So it's like
Hmm.
kind of just sticking to the bare basics, building some tension, bringing out these great performances, and really sticking in that thriller kind of realm. I think maybe with a little horror injected in there, I think can work well for him. So I'm hoping he stays, on this path. I mean, I'm so positive on Knock at the Cabin. I do want to see that film again, and that's not something I say often with M. Night Shyamalan films. Usually, I'm a one and done kind of guy with it. But I'm intrigued to check out Knock at the Cabin again. So, I hope I can keep this relationship that I have right now with M. Night Shyamalan. Doesn't get too volatile again. So,
Yeah.
um, we'll see
Hey,
what happens.
yeah, only time will tell. It's like you said with M Night. It's kind of like every other movie or so. But yeah, I think again, just stay the path. Keep doing what you're doing. You're in the pocket. Now it's just about staying in there. So